You're listening to Nerds Out of Water with Michael Lobb and David Camis. Nerds Out of Water is a podcast brought to you by myself, Michael Lobb, and David Camis. Well, both of us when I am actually on the podcast, which I wasn't last week. We're two good friends who have partnered for around 20 years. I run a company called TeamScale, which provides trusted technology advice to solution. David runs One Bright Cloud, where he heads up a team of techs and futurists looking at autonomous vehicles, AI, and digital transformation as a prerequisite for Industry 4.0.
Nice of you to come back this week, Michael. Nice of you to make the time for us. Michael runs TeamScale, providing trusted technology and advice and solutions to companies having trouble scaling up. He enables those businesses to grow and keep their technologies on track.
We challenge our own perspectives and try to see things from each other's perspective. You don't need to agree, but after listening to this show, you'll definitely have an idea about my dog barking in the background. Yeah, I was pretty busy last week. I'm sorry about that, but
that's okay.
Anything exciting you want to share with us?
I spoke a lot about the cybersecurity stuff that's happening at the present time and the attacks that are going on. I think I will just mention a little bit of that later because there are some updates. And I'm really looking forward to having a cybersecurity expert coming on. I believe you've invited someone.
Yeah, if I can get that working. I also wanted to talk about facial recognition, which is something that's been in the news a lot lately. I think IBM and Google and a few other companies are actually stopping government using facial recognition technology for mass surveillance. And we're talking about some technology that can identify people based on their face, basically. So, there's CCTV cameras everywhere in the world now, everywhere in any city at least. What do you think about that? Do you think that governments should be able to use facial recognition technology to identify people, where they are and what they're doing?
Well, there's two different questions there. One, should governments use facial technology? And should governments use the IBM facial technology? Lots of different questions coming out of there because why aren't they allowing them? And it's probably similar to Google having a step in as well at times. But I think facial technology should be used. We are in a space now where we have to keep on top of the bad boys and the bad guys and the bad girls. And facial recognition is one of the tools that we should be using. And it measures distances between your ears and your eyes and your nose and your mouth. And it doesn't matter how old you get, it'll actually take your references on as you move up the age. And passport control, they're using it.
Mm. And that's, I guess, one of the arguments that they've got is that facial recognition is everywhere already. So let's just expand that out. Now, I don't like the idea of it. I mean, what I see is the version of personal scoring where they see you going into, say, a store that you shouldn't be going into and mark you down a score and then start, giving you scores for going to church on Sunday, for example, or whatever those things that are deemed morally the right things to be doing. And I get the vibe that we're dangerously close to a 1984 scenario where, we're being monitored for things that perhaps the government is telling us are good, but we don't get to decide for ourselves whether it's good or not. And then implementing things like travel bans for people whose score is below a certain amount.
Yes and no. Should we go down that far? No, I don't think we should go down that far to the degree that you're thinking, even though I do know of several countries in the world who are already implementing that. Mm-hmm. Should it be used by the police and the intelligence services? Yeah, I think it should. I think we have a duty of care to look after our civilians against the bad people. And without the facial technology, there'll be many incidents that take place that we would have no idea about.
And my counter argument to that is the police in some countries haven't been as morally justified in some of their actions as they would in, say, a country like Australia.
Yep.
Now,
but that's another question all over again. So you need to make sure that your police have the morals and have the training to be able to use that in a way that doesn't create conflict internally.
And let's face facts. Intelligence agencies are using this anyway.
Yep.
IBM aren't going to stop them using that. They will use it. They have probably better solutions than we do. So what we're talking about is pushing this into more civilian circumstances where police can use it, or companies that are doing security on behalf of the government or on behalf of the citizens of a country can use this in order to manage crime, terrorism, things like that.
So what about reducing the fights that go on in rugby and football matches? What about facial recognition inside there, which is heavily used at the moment?
I kind of, maybe I live in a bit of a utopian idealist mindset. If you're having fights at football matches and rugby games, then, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm working with a company at the moment who are producing facial recognition and heat recognition software. And this is to not only look at the temperature of people going into football matches, restaurants, etc., but it's also being used as recognition of the face rather than using touch cards or palm prints or alike. And that means there's a hands-off.
It's like when you go through the toll bridge and it recognizes your license plate. Yep. Rather than having to pay a coin into the slot. So basically what you're saying is your face will become your identifier.
Yep. Well, I think your face is already starting to become your identifier. As we start moving away from a monetary system, which we are, we're going to, in my lifetime, I believe we're going to leave dollars and coins and notes and coins behind, and it'll be somehow just moved from bank to bank. And whether that's a palm print or a thumb print, which I don't think it'll be now because of COVID-19's changing the world. So it's got to be something else. Is it iris scanning? Is it facial recognition? We spoke about this last week.
It has to be multiple levels of
yes,
identification.
Agreed.
I mean, authentication, sorry. You can't just rely on your face because...
No, you can't.
I guess it's not going to necessarily... You need an identifier, you need your face as one component, and maybe an iris scan, or maybe a PIN number of some sort that changes every 15 seconds.
I think you'd have to have a three point. If you're going to pay using facial recognition or alike, you'll need a 3-point approval and coming from 3 completely separate systems. As we spoke about last week, facial identifiers are being hacked already over in the US. So if they're already being hacked, then we need alternative sources to prove who you are, coming from a completely different source.
Do you use your face when you're doing payment, Google payment?
No, I don't. I use my thumbprint. I actually find using the facial recognition on my phone, it gives me a headache when I stare into it. Yeah.
Really?
Maybe it's just my concentration.
I have my Google tablet won't allow me to do facial recognition because I wear glasses and it doesn't recognize me with glasses. And the same at the airport. When I go through security, I have to take my glasses off. Now, my eyesight is not so good, and when I take my glasses off, I can't see stuff. So I look at the light, and then it tells me some instructions, and I can't read them. And then someone comes over and says, "Oh, you can go now." And it's like, if I could just leave my glasses on, that would be a lot easier. I could read the instructions. But the Apple facial recognition for Apple Pay allows me to look at, or I don't even need to look at my phone and get a headache. I just open my credit card and pay, and it sees my photo or sees my face and recognizes me and pays.
And you heard that here first.
I used to use my thumbprint.
Michael opens his credit card, is buying today's dinner.
So I guess I do use facial recognition for that stuff, and I don't trust it, but One
of the reasons you don't allow glasses is because you can actually change the way your eyes look. When you've got glasses, you can put somebody else's eyes on. So that's why they make you take the glasses off.
Great. Well, still can't read the instructions.
I can't answer that. That's a very good point. Why aren't they being spoken? Why aren't they verbal?
Yeah, the instructions, okay, you can move through now. Or, yes, you can put your glasses back on now.
Look up a little bit, look down a little bit.
Exactly. But, I tend to always have to go through the manual person looking at my photo and then wondering why my passport photo looks nothing like me, and then going, oh, okay, yeah, you are who you say you are, and then I can go through.
So you started this saying you don't want facial recognition. You've ended this saying, I use facial recognition. Where are you up to?
No, I don't think facial recognition should be used by law enforcement to manage the population of a country into the way that the government sees that they should be pushed. I don't agree with a system that is in some countries, as you mentioned, where scoring comes in because they recognize a person and recognize that they're doing something that is against what the government believes is morally correct.
That must be highly critical. That must be critically available to be hacked, in my opinion.
And you think about the protests that are happening in the US at the moment for Black Lives Matter. The people that were there, had facial recognition been in place, what they were doing was essentially against what the government believed was morally correct and what the health department believed was morally correct, or correct in some ways, because
COVID-19,
they should have been social distancing and everything like that. So those people who were justified in their protests and doing the right thing were still doing the wrong thing according to the government, and therefore there would have been 80,000 arrests in each city. I believe that people have the right to be able to make their own decisions based on their moral beliefs.
But the moment it turns violent, then I think
that's different. Yeah.
We should be able to take facial recognition and pick up only those who are being violent.
So you think it's more like a phone tap? You have to get you have to get a warrant to enable to find out who it is. Yeah. At what point do we say to the public, you're able to be recognized and we're able to see what you are doing, and we are able to find out what it is that you're doing so that we can make a judgment on whether you're doing the right thing or not?
So most shopping centres now, most big shops use one of the AI safe security, which all has facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And you download your facial recognition files from facial recognition servers that are scattered around the world, so you can actually pull people's facial recognition and buy that online.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, I mean, that leads us back into the other side of things. Should private enterprises be able to use facial recognition to do things that potentially you don't want to happen? For example, you don't have the right to say, no, I don't want my face scanned when I walk in here.
Yep.
By walking into a shopping mall, you are inherently giving them the right to scan you.
Yep.
And to show, to use your face as data. So therefore, do we consent as a nation to giving private enterprises our identity to do with what they want? And I know that what they're going to be doing is trying to advertise to you and trying to push you in a direction and trying to manipulate you into buying certain products and services. Is that okay? I don't think it is.
So there is now marketing billboards that market based on your facial recognition. There are billboards already out there.
Sure. I don't think that's right.
So that takes it back to Facebook.
I think we should incite a riot and burn them down.
That takes you back to Facebook and marketing on Facebook and the AI that's behind that, and which you don't use.
Facebook, you have to sign into.
Oh.
You have to make a concerted judgment, as in, today I'm going to sign into Facebook. You can also block the pixels that Facebook uses so that they can't tell where you've been. You don't have that capability in a shopping center because you just want to go in and get your.
Yes, you can.
You
just don't go. You go to a separate shop, a facial recognition free shop.
So maybe that should be a thing. Maybe we should have a standard where you can put a sticker on the door that says we don't use facial recognition to advertise to you here,
and we don't use facial recognition to watch out for the nasty people.
Or do we walk around with masks?
Oh, there's something I could say there.
Actually, that's a good point. How does facial recognition deal with face masks?
It doesn't.
Okay, so there you go. That's how you do it, folks.
Well, now we've got the movie where they're pulling skins off of people and putting somebody else's face onto their face.
That wasn't now. That was like 20 years ago with Nicolas Cage and
yes.
John Travolta. That's right. Face Off.
Wow, that was deep and meaningful. Thanks for bringing that one in.
Yeah, well, we went from semi okay '90s movies to government using facial recognition for morally justified purposes or morally unjustified.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave it where I believe facial recognition should be used anywhere, and I think it's open because it will be an open point. And you're going to leave it at?
I don't believe it should be, but I don't think we've got a choice in the matter.
Yeah, good. Moving on from there.
So moving on from there, people are going to start using facial recognition technology to do what?
Well, there are drones over in Turkey that are called the kamikaze drones, and they have got 500 new kamikaze drones on top of their 400 already. So that's nearly 1,000 kamikaze drones. They all use facial recognition or spatial recognition to attack. And they're all autonomous. They're all got individual AI. Once they're launched, they can be completely on an autonomous mode, and they will attack with no barrier. In other words, you cannot stop them once they go. You can't without physical means.
Or there's no abort button.
There's no abort button.
Wow.
That's pretty scary stuff. So you could have 1,000 drones attacking you. And these aren't little ones. These aren't my little swarm drones where they're only probably 3 or 4 centimeters, inches wide. These are 2 or 3 feet wide, a meter wide. They're big. They carry a heavy payload and they can destroy easily.
Right. So, wouldn't stand a chance unless you've got an AI drone swarm to combat them.
Well, that's where we're going to end up. We're going to end up with swarms attacking swarms. But scarily, we go back to the video that was released in 2017, I think, where the little swarm drones attack a university to find 6 or 7 people that were theoretically going to attack the university, and they take them out with pellet munitions. But this is taking it to the next level. Yeah,
and this is swarm drone warfare, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, this is really big stuff. And having so many in Turkey is just a little bit scary, I think. I think that if Turkey are getting them, the countries around Turkey are getting them, and it'll just start a tsunami.
It'll start the arms war again, won't it? Like, we've got bigger nukes than you. We've got bigger nukes than you. No, we've got bigger nukes than you. Now it's we've got more agile swarm drones than you.
Yeah.
Our swarm drones carry these missiles. Our swarm drones carry freaking lasers.
And these swarm drones, by the way, they can go at a height level that they're not picked up by radar.
Of course they can.
Yeah. I don't want to be around those if they attack. I'm very anxious about this whole direction, and I know that I am a swarm drone person. I play around in this all the time, but I think this is now becoming a reality, and we need to think about it. And major cities all around the world, including power stations, including water supplies, all need to start thinking how they're going to protect themselves against swarm drones.
Yeah, exactly. There is a level of a military protection that you need from if you're a target like that, because there's missiles, but they're pointed and fired, and they've got some targeting. But these are swarm drones. These are drones. They can go. They're agile. They can go in any direction. They can they're small enough to get into certain places. As you said, we can't see them coming, and even if we do, if there's 100 of them, what do? We shoot down 99, but one of them gets through.
Sorry, we've been working with 2 different companies, one from France and one from Israel, and they both do anti-swarm drone technologies. And we're not talking about a guy holding a net, firing a net. We're talking major reduction in swarm drone. So as they come in, they're actually rejected at a several points as they come in. We've done a number of trials on this, and it's been going quite well.
Would an EMP work? A targeted EMP?
A targeted EMP would work, but then you have the problem of where it will go and what it would land on. You need to think about where the drone will be landing if it's got its power supply removed. And would an EMP stop a gas turbine type engine?
Are you telling me there's gas turbine drones?
These ones aren't. There are drones out there that are non-electrical, yes.
But all of their control systems would be electrical.
Their AI must be electrical, yes.
They wouldn't have clockwork AI.
Clockwork AI. There's a new capability. But where would you go? I think this is a really fun subject that is turning into into a reality, and it's quite a scary reality. And just I've got a picture in front of me now of a whole probably 50 or 60 of these kamikaze drones, and they're not little things. The cameras on them are probably better than any of the cameras I've got, and the payload that they're carrying is about 3 or 4 kilos.
Wow. Puts the Boston Dynamic dogs to shame.
Yeah, it puts my little drones to shame too. And I thought I had some pretty decent drones. But, okay, now swarm drone. There is a new gameplay, and I know that we don't play games much, but one of the entertainment, the Astragon Entertainment, have released a new drone swarm game. And I am actually looking forward to it being released and coming out, because I'm going to play this for a little while to see if it is real. You get to control multiple sets of swarm drones.
So they're gamifying the swarm drone warfare, or just for entertainment purposes?
No, they're gamifying swarm drone warfare. Now, think about this. When we have fixed wing drones flying, a lot of the time we use Xbox-like controllers.
Of course.
If we wanted to teach children how to control a swarm drone, so that when they're older, we can pick the best of the best for the military purposes, where do we start? I think
Xbox controllers.
Xbox controllers and kids playing games. Very, very interesting.
Well, I mean, it's very much like Flight Simulator in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yep.
You know, you've got a flight simulator on your brand new Commodore 64, and and using that, you can learn how to fly a plane.
Yeah.
So that's to me, that is absolutely scary. It's kind of bordering on making me want to run to the hills and build a bunker.
I agree. I wouldn't mind building a bunker. But if you have no, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah. I mean, this sort of stuff is scary. And I think I know I have a naive and utopian mindset, but I enjoy the entertainment value of drones and things like that. And I think that there's some really amazing uses for getting, emergency equipment to people in hard to reach places. For getting, there was someone who was rescued the other day in Australia by dropping an inflatable buoy out into the water and by a drone. And that to me is an insanely great use of the technology. But when we turn our minds to how are we going to blow up the other people, that scares me. Yeah. And
in Rwanda, they deliver nearly all blood through drones. It's an amazing capability they're doing. Over in Southampton in the UK, they're just about to start running bloods from Southampton across the Isle of Wight. And I know there are plenty of drone trials similar to that are being reviewed over in Australia. An interesting one is the drone trial that's just finishing up in Canberra that delivers tea, coffee, books, and alike, and such as the library one that you were talking about in the US last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. And they have now got permission to fly in 15 suburbs in Brisbane.
Well, I don't live in Brisbane, so.
So your pizza will be delivered by drone shortly.
You're remote. You'll get yours delivered by drone, yeah.
Brisbane and the Gold Coast. Yeah. Oh, and rural.
They'll drop it with a parachute on it.
Yeah, I'll get mine delivered by fixed wing probably, because the drones won't have the flight time to get out here.
Look, David, I know you talked about this last week and we talked about it the week before, but we've been running a kind of series of Be Kind to Your Mind discussions. You wanted to talk about your family during this COVID-19 pandemic and how that affects your mental health as well.
Yep. So our first story on this was Be Kind to Your Mind. So look after you and look after yourself while in lockdown, while going back to work. Last week, we spoke about Be Kind to Your Mind from a manager point of view, because a manager has a duty of care to look after people, and looking after people now is different. Things are very different when you go back to the workplace, and managers have to understand that. And I thought this week we'd turn this on to the family, and we'll have a couple of touch points with Be Kind to Your Mind from your family. And I think we can just go through, and these aren't all mine. Obviously, I'm pulling these from a number of different sources. But number one, take care of yourself, because without yourself being healthy, you can't help other people. So do the typical, wash the hands. clean up.
Put the toilet seat down.
Keep everything tidy and clean, and exercise so you're healthy. Listen and put your toilet seat down and the toilet lid down. Now, I'm going to change the subject here slightly. Do you remember one of our very first podcasts when we were talking about cleaning phones?
Yeah. So
this was before COVID-19.
So these UV phone cleaners are selling out probably a little bit faster than toilet paper did a few months ago. I was looking on Amazon, and it's, the phone cleaners are probably, in the top 10 selling devices and gadgets. And it's like, really? So you put your phone into this little device and it goes and cleans your phone using UV light. I don't know how hygienic they are, or whether there's any studies into whether, the Chinese made UV phone cleaner from Amazon that costs you $3.98 plus postage and handling is going to do any good to save you from getting, bad stuff on your hands.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move from Chinese UV back to be kind to your mind for the family. So take care of yourself, listen to others, and talk as if you want to be heard, and make sure that other people have their right to speak to you, because everyone has a mental requirement to be listened to. Teach emotional choice. Now, everybody has various moods, and you and I, we never get out of sync with each other. We're always completely feelings connected.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's good. So as a person in your family, model behaviors that have respect and encourages other people to feel correct and feel right. Generosity, make everyone feel like they're giving, make sure that everyone has the opportunity to give, and take responsibility for your communications. Now, I'm quite poor at that particular one. I tend to watch the news and go, I can't believe what they're doing this time. How dare they do that in front of the kids? And that is probably not the best thing that the kids need to hear when they're listening to the news.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because, I'm a very quiet person. I don't know if you knew that, but sometimes I'll just sit there and I'll get lost in my own thoughts, and I'll giggle or laugh or something like that. And the people around me might think that I'm laughing at them, but I'm not. It's just some random shit that came into my head, and I was laughing at that. Like, maybe I'm thinking of a unicorn with wings, or, a purple sandwich, something like that. And it's like, and then everyone around me goes, oh man, what's he laughing at? Did I just do something stupid? But no, I often live inside my own head, and often I don't hear what people are saying because I'm in my own thoughts, and, that can be irritating to people. So, if I'm listening to someone, I'm listening to them. But if I'm in my own head, sometimes I just don't get out of my own head until someone says, hey, are you listening to me?
This time it's my turn to say, I don't know what you're talking about. So we've all struggled at varying times over the last period. Last week for me was hard on Sunday because it was Father's Day in the UK, and I was meant to be over there for my dad, who's in his 90s, and I'm hoping to God he'll last another year, so at least I can get there. It was quite hard seeing him and speaking to him, especially as he always calls me my brother, which is very hard. But anyway, have you got any thoughts on other things people need to do from a family perspective?
Look, I believe that our family unit is different to most people's. I think for me, I need space, and for my partner, she needs people around. So it's that, that can get kind of difficult to manage. I just think understanding each other's needs is a really important thing.
Yeah,
understanding everyone's needs. You mentioned before, how you can yell at the news and the kids pick up on that. Explaining stuff is really important to me. I was yelling because I'm frustrated at this particular thing. Might be a better conversation than just yelling at it and then walking away. I don't know, but for me, understanding is really important, and we've got a duty to look after our families during this time as well. I mean, people are starting to go back to work, and I was talking to someone this morning about there are people in Australia that have been locked up working together in the same house for months, and they don't necessarily have the understanding to know what each other's work patterns are like, because they've never worked with these people before. They might come home and have coffee together, and have dinner together and raise the kids together, but working together is a whole different thing, and that's going to change the dynamics in the company. I mean, in the household. The other thing is people who spend a lot of time together. If they go out and do certain things, like they're going out to a cafe with their friends or whatever, they come back, they have a cup of tea with their family, and they've got something to talk about. They go to work the next day, they come home and they've got something to talk about. Now, because they're always in each other's face, they've never got anything to talk about. And that it's a really interesting thing. There's no more experiences that they can pick up because they're all experiencing it together. So, those are the sorts of things that I would think so.
Wow. It's very good. It's a very good point. Very good point indeed. Now, I would like to go on.
The other thing that I wanted to mention is about mistakes, because we all screw up sometimes, and owning up to the fact that you've made a mistake is sometimes important. I do it at work a lot. I don't make any mistakes at work, but I'll own up to mistakes that if I make them.
I think it's very important that we do own up, because making a mistake is just one way of learning. And I believe everybody is capable of learning, and I believe everyone has to make mistakes to get to this point of where they can. And in a family situation, that's no different. Absolutely not.
Thanks for listening to Nerds Out of Water. We appreciate you spending the time with us. And as usual, if you want to listen to more, click the subscribe button in whatever podcasting tool you are using, or on YouTube if it's on YouTube.
Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some people who disagree with us.
Tell us we're wrong. I want to see some trolls now. David, I'm really excited because I'm actually doing a series of webinars in a month or so that is about business change in technology projects.
Excellent.
And I'll be posting some more information as it comes to light. So keep an eye out for that, because it'll be really interesting to sign up for that and come along, and it'll be a lunchtime session. So if you're at work, you can spend 30, 40 minutes with us and have a chat.
Great.
Thanks, David. Appreciate your time. Let's talk again soon.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate yours. Look after yourself. Stay safe.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.